Before we are going into this interview, let the public know where we are at the moment. Two days passed since our last meeting. So what you've been doing during these 2 days?
Yeah, last time we saw each other, we spoke in this room. This is my studio in the Bronx. I live in the North Bronx, in New York. And yeah, last time was Thursday. Today is Monday morning. We couldn't meet Friday. Different circumstances couldn't permit it. Saturday and Sunday I worked at my job. Saturday I worked as a porter, and Sunday I worked as a doorman in the same building.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I got home last night. Well, this early, you could say very early this morning, around 1:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then got up again, I guess around 5. So maybe slept a few hours, maybe.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, you? Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah. So, and now we're here.
Again. Here is your studio.
No, I mean, thing is that this is my studio, but it really is my bedroom. My bedroom is my bedroom. It's my studio. It's my library. It's my office. I've never had a studio that wasn't, outside of the house. I've always had my workspace, right? I think that's probably the more appropriate thing to say, a workspace, because it's not really a studio. Studio is like separate, right? So it's my workspace. Yeah, it's always been in wherever I've lived. I used to live a few blocks from here, in a private house. My studio was 1 bedroom in the apartment. And then when we moved in here in 2009, the living room, half the living room was basically my studio, and the other side was the living room. But it got to the point where it was just too hectic and it needed to be separate. So then the bedroom became the studio.
It's nice. Nice studio. I'm showing to people a lot of art here, a lot of books. So the first question for today, 7 a.m. in the morning, is how your family reacted when you told them that you want to be an artist?
I wouldn't say they were excited, but they were okay about it. They thought it was a good idea. It made sense to them because they saw that I was always drawing as a kid and as a teenager, as I was growing up. So they weren't shocked to say, well, I'm going to dedicate myself to this, right? There's always 1 or 2 who talk about how it's difficult to make money and that kind of thing. But in my case, it was something that I needed to do more than I necessarily wanted to do, or I wanted to do it. Visual art in the public, people, right? It's not something that it's in people's minds. Going to museums and that kind of thing is not something that I grew up around and the people around me did. It's like we go to Paris and we go to New York. These are very cultural cities. People visit museums and galleries all the time. There's something about art that is just in the air, to a degree.
It depends. Because people who live in New York or in Paris don't go to the museum that much.
No, you're right. But think about this. People who visit Puerto Rico as a vacation, they don't think, let's go to the great museums of Puerto Rico.
Oh, they are thinking, go to
right?
Playa.
Exactly.
Yeah,
let's go to the beach.
Let's
go to the restaurants. Let's go to the nightlife. Maybe a club, right? So that's the idea when people go to Puerto Rico. When people come to New York, they say, let's go to MoMA. Let's go to the Metropolitan. Let's go to the Guggenheim. Right? They go to all of the cultural centers. Let's go to a concert. Let's go to Broadway and see a play. Right? So that's what I mean. I don't mean like there's no art. There is art. It's just that it's not around you, and it's just not something that people think about when thinking about Puerto Rico. When talking about fine arts or visual arts, right?
What's your favorite place to eat in New York or in the Bronx?
In New York and the Bronx, the best thing that one can do is eat a decent pizza. Bronx, yeah, definitely pizza. You have a lot of places where you got a lot of Caribbean food.
I
Next
bring
time
him
you
to
come,
yeah, sure.
definitely, man. You
We're
know what?
going
Yeah,
together.
definitely. There's a really good place on towards 183rd and Fordham Road.
What?
Dominican and Puerto Rican food. I don't remember the name.
Yeah,
I just remember the food. Yeah.
And do you have like favorite place to go out or to walk, to relax,
Yeah.
to paint?
I like there's a park. There's the Oval Park there. Sometimes we walk the dog. It's a pretty big park and it's very lovely. Just walking, as you walk up, you'll see the Oval Park. Maybe we might be able to take a look.
Yeah, sure.
I like walking, around the neighborhood, and I like walking the Marshall Parkway. Maybe we could take a little bit of that if by chance. Yeah, I like walking, and if the weather permits, if it's not too cold, even if it is cold, as long as it's not too windy, I could sit outside for a good 20 minutes, maybe do a little bit of writing, and then walk a little more. I have a coffee in my hand. I'll sit somewhere around there, and yeah, it's very relaxing for me. I like taking walks. I like being around trees and green and that kind of thing, and that's as close as trees and green is gonna get around here.
Do you have like places in New York or in the Bronx that make you feel about art? Like an art neighborhood?
An art neighborhood, we don't have those anymore. Honestly, I think that what happens is that after the 1980s and maybe early 90s, these art neighborhoods disappeared.
What?
Well, they got gentrified. It's too expensive for artists to stay there and live there. And that's fine because that's what we do. We go to the places that kind of need to be rejuvenated. But then money comes in and then we get kicked out. But it's what we artists do. We go to these places that can be falling apart, dangerous, and so on. We make it into these, I guess, artist havens.
What place you are thinking about when you say that?
Well, you think about places in Manhattan in 1980s, Soho. That's not how it looked in the 80s when artists were there. There was nothing there. The thing is that eventually money comes in, it gets gentrified, so there really are no more artist neighborhoods. There are certain neighborhoods where you find artists who want to be, places in Brooklyn and stuff like that, but they don't last very long. There's still some artists in some of those areas, but I wouldn't call it an artist neighborhood. Here in New York, those places don't last very long. As soon as some artists start to get there, it doesn't become an artist neighborhood. Other people come in because they want to be around that, which is good, but not so much good for our pocket.
Have you ever made a live performance?
I did once. I forget where in Manhattan. It wasn't really a live performance. It was more like I'm just there drawing for people to take drawings. They pay me a certain amount of money for a couple of hours. No, just me doing whatever I was doing. I was doing these kind of like abstract figures and faces. Not that long ago, but still. I don't remember a lot of the detail. I remember that I did it once and I told myself never again.
Why?
No. I did not like the way I felt, and I did not like the way they made me feel. Some people that were there didn't understand what I was doing. It wasn't a good experience. I didn't like it. And I'm not the kind of artist that's just that wants an audience like that. I like the solitude. I love solitude. It's to be in solitude, in isolation to a degree is more of a gift. That's why I like what Charles Bukowski said, that isolation is a gift. Because it just gives you a chance to be by yourself.
Who said that?
Poet Charles Bukowski. In some of his poems, he references solitude, he references isolation, and that don't worry about isolation and don't worry about doing your thing, because if people see that you're doing something and they don't want to be around you because you're doing this very important thing to you, it's a gift. Don't see it as anything bad. It's a gift, and that's fine. And solitude for me, is the best thing. It's just that a lot of people don't know how to be alone, because to be alone, you have no other option but to look at yourself.
One more question, then we go outside.
Yeah.
It's kind of solitude is good, but sometimes you need to socialize to promote your art.
Yeah, but live performance, no. No. There's a bunch of people partying and drinking, and then you're there, kind of like for their entertainment. I'm not an entertainer. You know, no, but you know, and it's okay if you're an artist and you're also an entertainer. It's like when there's a poet, and then there's the spoken word. They're doing the same thing, but at the same time they're not. This is very different because one is performing, the other one is just simply writing the words. A good example of an artist and entertainer, British painter. He also does kind of like punk rock, but he's a painter. But he does punk rock and he does poetry, but he also does live performance of poetry. So he does entertainment as well as he's an artist, but he doesn't paint in public. See, he doesn't have a crowd. When he's painting by himself. He's in solitude. But he does music, he sings, and he does poetry, and he does live performances. So he's also an entertainer. But you can be an artist and paint, and you can paint in public in front of a crowd with music and lights and whatever. Okay, you're still a painter, you're still an artist, but you're also an entertainer. And I'm not an entertainer at all. It doesn't help me to create anything. If anything, it might be more distracting and it causes me probably a little bit more anxiety than I would want. I don't like that experience. I tried it once, it's more than enough. Because one, I didn't value my work enough. I don't like the distraction. And again, I'm just not an entertainer. That's not what I do. You know, and I realize that that's not what I do. And that's okay. I think, and whoever who wants to be an entertainer while being an artist, that's all right too, because I think it's also about different personalities. I enjoy more of the quiet. I like more of the solitude. I'm more introverted. The younger generation, they love being on camera. They love taking those selfies and recording themselves doing something, eating, out with friends. A lot of painters are recording themselves painting. I've done that maybe 2 times, and not with me on camera, but I'm holding the phone and they see the brush and the paint. I think that ultimately the end result is what's interesting in a painting. I don't think that's showing, unless you're teaching. Okay. But this whole thing of showing the process for entertainment purposes, it's not that interesting. Now, but if the person is teaching and he's making an interesting point about something, then I'm really observing. Oh, okay. Let's say he's teaching how to create shadows and tones and how to work with mid-tones properly. And he's showing you, yeah, I find that interesting, and perhaps I'm learning because maybe I wasn't doing it correctly before. Maybe he's doing it in a way that's a little different that maybe I can add to my work.
There is a memories about art that you will never forget in New York?
Well, yeah, there's a few.
So let us know, because I see you smiling.
My favorite memory that has to do with art, it's funny, it has to do with my daughters. I think I actually have a picture around here. Actually, it's right over there, and it's that picture right over there. Not even teaching that. I just took out my easel. I took my easel and I bought these 2 canvases for them in the park. Okay. Right there. And I just gave them paint, whatever. He's like, there you go. Like, do whatever you want. And they were just so happy. So happy. And I was just there with them. And then after they finished, we just stayed running in the park and playing. And I would say that moment right there is probably my ultimate favorite moment in art. Anything art related in New York. Yeah. The best memories that I have, anything with New York, really is with my family. New York, yeah, look, it can be quite entertaining and quite beautiful to walk around in at night and everything. But I don't overvalue it. I think that ultimately, wherever you are with family, that's the best place to be. It's not the only reason, but one of the reasons why I kind of kept going, aside from the fact that I really feel like I have no option, like I have to do it. But there were times early on where I struggled, but I wanted to show my girls an example that in order to do the thing you want to do, you have to struggle through it and you have to keep going and you can't stop. Even if it means, like me, you have to get a regular job to pay the bills, etc. but you still keep doing. If you really want to do something, yeah, go ahead, do it. But it's not going to be easy. But if you think it's worthwhile and you can do something good, yesterday at work, somebody came up to me and complimented my work because I had shared my website and they were smiling. They felt really good about what they saw, and they said, "Oh man, it's really great, and I especially like this one and so on." And I felt good, but I feel good that they also felt good, that my work brought somebody a bit of pleasure. They saw something that they felt or believed it was beautiful or cool or good looking, whatever it is that they thought. From time to time you hear something like that, and you know that you, even for a very short moment, you made somebody feel good, and it's worthwhile.
I remember you telling me on IG that you've been doing one interview.
It wasn't just me, it was more like it was a collective thing, and they talked about different artists. They mentioned me and I guess what I did in some newspaper. I was in a group exhibition. They contacted me through Instagram. A few people have tried to contact me through Instagram
because your art's beautiful, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. They try to contact me through there. Sometimes I don't think it's advantageous. Other people start talking about wanting to work with me and do NFTs and stuff like that. I'm not interested in that. That's for somebody else.
I see. And there is like a lot of opportunities for an artist here to promote or show his work. What do you feel about social media?
It's a tricky place, social media, because social media doesn't necessarily reward the talented. It doesn't always reward the talented. I don't want to be overly critical, but there's people who cannot draw a circle and they have thousands and thousands of followers because people are really good at marketing themselves. The work can be awful, but they're really good at marketing themselves. They do a lot of extra cheating. I know there's other stuff, little funny business that they do out there too. So there's that, where sometimes they're not real people. There's also that. Also, there's a lot of people out there. They promote themselves or they promote their bodies, trying to promote their artwork and things like that. So the social media doesn't always reward the most talented. So it's interesting. But in some cases, it has helped very talented people. And when I see that, I'm very happy to see that. I'm the kind of person that I'm very, very happy to see when talented people are succeeding. I think that obviously artists need to learn how to market ourselves, how to take charge of marketing ourselves and promoting our own work, and not have to wait for somebody else to discover us, while we're inside our cave. That makes no sense. I send my website. I look, I research. I look for galleries and see which galleries are the best fit. It's difficult because most galleries, when they do a show, they do something these very specific themes that sometimes my work just doesn't fall into. So I have to keep looking for a gallery that looks like perhaps they could represent my work, but I still take as much charge as I can of promoting my own work. A gallery has never represented me, ever. Like, I've exhibited in group shows and things like that, but a gallery has never represented.
Routine of Isaac Lanzo.
Something like that.
I'm the video maker, so
yeah, I'm not gonna get used to this. It feels colder than you.
You know the day that we met each other for the first time?
Yeah. So this is normal traffic during the week. At this hour. Sometimes worse. But, yeah. There's a lot of noise during the day here. Look, this is East Gun Hill Road. Gotta cross here and then get that way.
When have you exhibited for the first time?
I don't think I remember. I think it was 2005.
2005?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to check. Actually, it started with my wife. She was working in a gallery. She was working in a gallery in the school where she was. She was doing like work study. You get like a grant. You get paid, but you have to do work. And she decided to work in this gallery. This was it's here in the Bronx, in Hostos Community College. There's a gallery there.
And is your wife an artist?
Not a painter, but she used to write. She used to do theater, do acting. She's really good. But she decided to change her studies. She minored in drama, but she's majoring in psychology. So after finally decided to do, I guess, the thing she really wanted to do, she always wanted to do something. I know that when she was very young, growing up, she wanted to do law. She was interested in studying the law to be a lawyer. And obviously she's always interested in the arts. Psychology was also one of those things that she was also very interested in. And eventually she had the courage to pursue it.
She helped you to find your first exhibition?
Yeah, during that time when she had started school in Hostos Community College, she was working with that gallery, and she kind of like talked to the person, to the director, about my work. He went to see it, he liked it, he genuinely liked the work, and that's how I had my first exhibition.
The first one was in the Bronx, or?
Yes, in the Bronx.
Do you remember the place name?
Yeah, it's called the Bronx Longwood Art Gallery. There you go.
Do they let a lot of artists make exhibition at this place?
Well, they usually concentrate on artists who live and work in the Bronx, but they do exhibit work from other artists from New York and sometimes other places in the world too. I know they've exhibited artists from Puerto Rico. They accept almost anybody, but they concentrate on local artists, you know, from the borough or the Bronx.
Do you think that the live performance is like a rite of passage for artists?
Oh, a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because you might think you don't like it, it's not for you, but then it ends up being for you. Or you think it is for you, you try it, and then you decide, you know what, I don't like it. So you know what? If you don't like it and you've never done it, try it once. And there where you really will know for sure if you don't like it, if it's for you or not. That's it. I don't know if it's a rite of passage. But, you know.
Try it.
Yeah, try it once. So there's the park. I learned not to take myself too seriously, because when you're young, you think, oh, I'm the best, or I'm gonna be the best. You puff yourself up, you know. But you realize life is serious enough by itself without you trying to make yourself more.